When I sorted the sales by the way my shop is currently organized, home decor was the clear leader at just over 48% of sales. I went back through my February through May Etsy sales because I had one very practical question. What is actually selling in my shop right now? It's very easy to keep buying the kinds of things that I personally enjoy finding, but that doesn't always mean that those are the pieces carrying my shop. But I want to be careful with this kind of sales review, especially putting it out there on video for everyone to see, because my numbers only tell the story of my shop, my inventory, my sourcing choices, my photos, my titles, my descriptions, and what I actually had available during that period. So this isn't a video about what every vintage seller should run out and source. It's more about how reviewing sales by category can help us make better decisions in our own shops. If you're new here, I'm Carol and I sell vintage on Etsy, while on this channel I share how I source, list, style, and live with vintage. I'm not going to share my total sales numbers because that's not really the point of this video. And I know many of you are like me. We can learn from the pattern without needing to know every private detail. So instead, I'm going to share the percentages by shop section, what stood out, what surprised me a little, and how this is helping me decide what to list next. And if you like seeing the working side of a vintage Etsy shop, stay with me to the end because I'll show you how I have my Michigan shop set up for this summer. My shelves, my supplies, everything. Even the glamorous cardboard box shelf. Now, this was not a perfectly clean sales period. I was making some title changes. In fact, I made a lot of title changes. I switched from Florida inventory to Michigan inventory, deactivating Florida, reactivating Michigan. And I also, in the middle of everything else, because I always have to make things more complicated for myself, I decided to reorganize my shop into different sections. Mostly different sections. So I did have to go back to my sold spreadsheet and update those categories to match my new sections. With so many variables coming into play here, I'm not treating this as a big emotional report card on whether sales were up or down. Quite frankly, they were about the same as they always are for me, February through May. I'm looking at it as information though, what sold, what categories carried the shop, and what should I pay attention to as I'm deciding what to photograph and list next. Because as you can see behind me, I have a large amount of sourced items that I need to get working on. So let's start with the big picture. Spring sales by my current Etsy shop sections. When I sorted the sales by the way my shop is currently organized, home decor was the clear leader at just over 48% of sales. Vintage entertaining came in next at about 21%. Vintage dining and table was about 15%. Anniversary and wedding items still mattered, but they were smaller pieces of the spring picture. And America 250 did sell a few items, just not as many as I had hoped. That doesn't mean I should abandon the smaller categories. It does mean I need to be honest about which sections are carrying the most weight right now. The section that really stood out was home decor, and honestly, it was partly a surprise and partly a confirmation of something that I've been noticing for a while. At first, home decor can sound like a big catch-all category, just pretty things for the house. But when I looked more closely at what actually sold, it wasn't random at all. A lot of those sales came from pieces that have very clear decorating purposes. Silver plate bowls and trays, brass and metal accents, figurines, vases, planters, wall pieces, and candle pieces. The kinds of things a buyer can picture on a shelf, on a dresser, coffee table, a sideboard, or tucked into a little vignette. And this is where I have to be a little more thoughtful about how I classified things. For example, some of the silver plate bowls and trays could technically be considered entertaining pieces. You would use them on the table when you're entertaining. They are trays and bowls. They could be used for serving. But in my shop, I think many of those pieces are being bought more for styling than for food. They're the kinds of pieces that someone might use on a dresser with perfume bottles, or on an entry table for keys, on a shelf with books and flowers, or as part of a collected vintage display. So when I put those into home decor, I wasn't just asking, what is this item? I was asking, how is my buyer most likely using this item? And that matters, because if I only sort by what an object technically is, I might miss the bigger picture. What I'm really seeing is that my buyers are responding to vintage pieces that help them create a look, finish a space, or add character to a room. And that's how I'm trying to present these items in my photos. There were also a few pieces in this group that reminded me not to drag my feet on certain listings. You know, those items that sit around because they're awkward to photograph and you're just not quite sure what to call them, how to present them, or they just keep getting moved from one shelf to another and never dealt with. A few of those did sell once I finally got them listed during this time period. So that was a good little nudge for me. Sometimes the problem is not that the item's wrong. Sometimes the item just hasn't been given a clear enough chance yet. And that tells me something useful when I'm sourcing and when I'm deciding what to list next. A silver plate tray is not just a tray. A brass bowl is not just a bowl. If the right buyer can immediately picture where it belongs in their home, that piece has a much stronger chance. Before I get into the bigger takeaways, let me quickly walk through the other sections too, because they each told me something a little different. First, vintage entertaining. Coffee and teapots, beverage service pieces, they carried this category at 35%. Silver plate serving pieces, those chip and dip bowls, the gravy boats that I love to keep selling and sourcing, 27% of the sales in this section. I did have a few compotes, bowls, pedestal serveware, 16%. I had some meat plates, some platters, cake plates, 11% of this section, and then salt and pepper sets and other tabletop accessories, only 7%, but they sold. And I think I only sold 1 or 2 cream and sugar sets and a set of napkin rings. Moving right along, here are my numbers for my vintage dining and table section. Stemware still really pulled through for me, and see, here's another one of those things. I have a lot of stemware in my shop because I know it sells. So therefore, I know it sells. I have a lot of it, so it keeps selling. And look, 40% of this category. And then other glasses, martini glasses and so on, 25%. So glasses are really doing well for me. Butter dishes did pull through at 20%. I didn't have a lot in my shop during this time period. I have a lot more now, but during that time period, I didn't have as many as I would have liked to have had, but still 20% is good. I did sell a couple of figural mugs and some roly-poly tumblers, so that was 13% of this section, and just a couple bowls and plates, hardly worth mentioning at only about 4%. And I think I've mentioned this before, I am looking to start sourcing more dinner plates that I can sell in sets of 2 or 4. Because for myself, I love to have that variety to choose from, whether I'm having company over or if it's just a dinner for my husband and I. I like to have different choices of plates to choose from, and so I'm going to kind of start pushing that in my shop, I think. And I've combined wedding and anniversary, and here are the stats for those 2 categories together. Golden anniversary pieces, 38%. And obviously, I probably had more golden anniversary pieces than I had silver anniversary pieces in my shop during this period. That's probably why there's such a difference between the amount of sales for each of those. Wedding figurines and keepsakes, 34%. And see, I had several ruby anniversary items in my shop, so that accounted for 15%. If I wouldn't have had those ruby anniversary pieces on hand, I couldn't have sold them. And then wedding cake toppers, which are usually a strong sales item for me, only 11%. And the reason why this was down is because my inventory in wedding cake toppers is way down. They're becoming harder to find at low enough prices to make them worth reselling. So I pulled a few sold examples that show what I mean. Not because every seller should go out and buy these exact things. I want to emphasize that because that's not what this video is about. But I want to just look at this pattern that I'm seeing in my own shop. Willow tree showed up several times in my sales during this period, but I want to be careful with that. I tend to source willow tree when I find it at the right price because it's sold well for me before, not because I've heard someone say, oh, willow tree is trending. No, it's sold well for me before, so it must resonate with the people who buy from my shop. And that's an important piece of this. Our sales data doesn't just show buyer demand. It also reflects our own sourcing habits, our pricing, our photos, our titles, our descriptions, and what we actually had listed at the time. So I'm looking at these examples less as a shopping list and more as clues. What role did this play for the buyer? What might someone have wanted it for? And what does that tell me about what kind of vintage I should pay attention to next in my shop? Some of my America 250 items sold, but they're not selling at the levels that I had hoped for over these last 2 or 3 years when I've been gathering these pieces in. In fact, we're starting to get pretty close to the 4th of July, so I have put those at 50% off, and I really want them to move. I may even put them at 80% off before the 4th of July because come July 5th, they will not be in my shop. I will be donating them and getting rid of them because I just feel they'll look really stale by that time in my shop. That doesn't mean I'll never source patriotic pieces again. It just means I need to be careful about how much space, money, and attention I give to them compared with categories that are already proving stronger in my shop. So if you're walking into an estate sale this week and you want one practical thing to look for pieces that already suggest a place or a purpose. Not just this is pretty, but I can see this on a dresser, like this piece. I can see perfume bottles sitting in this, can't you? Or I can see this on a bar cart. I can see this on a table. I can see someone giving this as a milestone gift. That little question can keep you from buying only with your own taste in mind. I'd love to know what surprised you most about these categories that sold in my shop. And if you sell vintage too, I'm wondering, what was your strongest spring category? Was it what you expected, or did your buyers surprise you? And now, since I've been talking about what sold and what I'm planning to list next, I am going to show you my Michigan workspace. Probably the best feature of our entire basement is this beautiful fireplace. My mom and dad built this house when I was only 2 years old. The basement was never finished when I was growing up. We didn't finish it till my husband and I bought it back in 1992. And I have decorated the fireplace with some crocks that used to belong to my grandmother. And I've just tried to make it look nice for the background of my video. I know that not much of it shows, but I get a little bit more confidence when I think about the fact that it does look kind of nice behind me. And then moving around the room counterclockwise, of course, we got the stairs to the upstairs, and then in the corner back here, I have a shelf full of sourced items that have been cataloged into my inventory sheets that are waiting to be listed. And I have all those sconces. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I just keep picking them up. Someday I'll do something with them. Much of this, I'm hoping, will be listed by the time this video goes live, but I don't know. We have company coming this weekend and I might not get to it. But this is out for me to have to look at all the time, so I have to be continually reminded I have items to list. The bottom shelf is Christmas items that I will be taking to Florida with me this fall and listing down there for next Christmas season. Moving on around the room, I've got my photo light box where I take my photos. This one is not as big as the one that I have in Florida. I like the bigger one better, but I don't want to have to buy yet another one for Michigan, so I'm just going to make do. Got my black light there, my display racks for plates and so on. Then moving counterclockwise, continuing through the room, passing the freezer and the cellar, we get to the shelving unit that has all of my boxes organized onto it, and then all of my bins. And these all have M's on them, or F and M, for Florida and Michigan. I have picked up a good number of silver plate items. My husband needs to get shined up for me so I can get them listed. And then I've got bubble wrap and packing paper on the bottom of that shelving unit. I like to keep that penguin hot and cold server there just as decoration. Then I have some shelves with just some miscellaneous items on them that at some point I just need to deal with. And there is my Bradenton hen. She's sitting proudly up there to remind me of my past mistakes. She's pretty anyways. I don't care. In the next corner, I have large items from my Michigan inventory that are too large to put in the bins that I already have listed. And then I have some video and filming supplies there on that one shelf. Now looking across the room, you can see my computer and video setup. In the middle of the room is my packing table, and I have this little cart with all of my supplies on it. I can move that cart around the table as I need to. I did put a beautiful tablecloth on this plastic folding table because it does show up in the background when I am making my videos from here. Now, this foosball table in the corner used to be my packing table. I want to get rid of the foosball table. It's falling apart anyway, so it'll be gone soon. Underneath this table, I have lots of packing supplies. They're nice and handy for when I am packing up packages to mail. And there's one last look across the room. Hey, I really appreciate you spending time here with me today. Have a great week, and I will see you next time.